This video contains commentary. Bonjour, my dudes! Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into some r/ChoosingBeggars. Of course, it's Wednesday, duh! So without further ado, sit back, relax, smash that subscribe button, or else I'll have to send Karen over to your house, and let's get right into it. $300? I thought you were only gonna charge like $30! Posted by user Mirages_music. I'm a music producer in my free time. It's what I've done since 2010. Nothing else quite brings me the same joy. After a while, I begin to bore myself of my own style and want to branch out. Maybe it's time I try producing for other people. I want to really commit and help someone else find their sound. I knew it would be hard finding someone who would appreciate the value of my work. Most of the previous inquiries I was given were shocked that I charged to let others use my equipment at all. I need to make money back on my equipment somehow, right? I mean, my current setup is over the $6,000 mark. Multiple instruments and countless sound libraries, virtual instruments, and synths get pricey. I start to spread the word about this through my personal social media. I get a few requests I have to deny as they're upfront about not wanting to pay, and one request for a quote came from an old high school friend. The guy runs a gaming YouTube channel and says he needs a full score done for a Halo-like film project. The subject matter surprised me as he previously tried to get me to collaborate with this insane clown posse-like persona. I figured he'd be messaging out that again. Here's the criteria he listed out for me. 1. 30 minutes in length. 2. Real string instruments, no VST, basically a virtual instrument. 3. Epic vocal choirs. And 4. Bombastic drums, but only real percussion. He also wanted an intense cinematic dubstep section near the end. Now, all these things are possible for me to accomplish. They're just simply going to end up costing me money to get it done. I figured maybe I'd eat the cost and do my friend a favor so the quality isn't sacrificed. Me. Hey man, I'm just gonna send a quote over tomorrow, okay? This is gonna be an exceptional piece based on your criteria. I'll need to have things in order to make sure this pans out well. Him. Works for me. Just let me know. This is time sensitive. I would need to rent out the time of the string players I knew from high school, rent percussive instruments from a store down the road from me, and my own voice could cover the choir. Perhaps include the string players in on it as an added bonus and more vocal colors? Of course, my time outside of work would be dominated for this. My total ended up coming to roughly $600 for everyone included. The percussive instruments would be $400 to rent, and the godsend violin player near me I could actually find agreed to meet for a couple hours for $200. After only a day of searching, I let him know the total of everything, and said I'd take half the cost just so I can help him achieve a solid sonic experience within his film, and something great under my portfolio, thinking it's a shoo-in and win-win. Cue the surprise Pikachu! Me. After all costs considered, it'll be $600 flat. I won't charge you for labor and I'll actually cover half the cost of rental for percussive instruments and the use of mutual string players' friends' time, meaning you'll only need to pay $300 for this. Should be a fun project. Let me know your thoughts. Him. What? $300? Dude, I was only expecting to spend like $20 at most, maybe give you an extra $10 for the labor. Me. My apologies, but I charge more than $20 just for someone to come in and use my studio with everything in-house by the hour. I can't accomplish what you're asking for with the given budget. Him. I thought you were just gonna do me a favor. I've been in your studio before. This sort of thing would take you an hour or two tops. Me. I guess I could just produce the strings and percussion myself. It'll be more cost-effective, but take more time to achieve the correct sound you may be going for. Meaning, I'll have to possibly do revisions, more work, etc. Him. Dude, I need this to be real. I can't use fake sounds. Could $40 cover it? Me. No, I'm sorry. Definitely bothered me a bit afterwards. They'd updated their status about fake asses just trying to make a quick buck, right after I rejected his last plea. But then I remember we're both adults now, and I chalk this situation up to him being possibly ignorant of how much work goes into making music. Sorry if this wasn't quite as interesting as other stories or doesn't belong. Thanks for reading. The $20? Okay, I'm gonna, speaking from somebody who pretty much had their own studio when I lived in Toronto with my ex, I had my own studio. I had some really nice equipment that I had hung on to. I wish I had taken it hostage when I left that horrible situation. But no, I'm using the only mic that I left with because this is my baby. But anyway, yeah, I had some really nice mics, and we did some recording for this guy, and he wanted something similar. Like, he wanted like a full EP produced, and he wanted vocals on it. He wanted, he only played guitar, so he wanted all the other instruments. And we were like gonna give him a really good deal, and the guy like flaked on us. I think I told this story before, some of it maybe. We ended up having to go to his house and knock on the door, and yeah, he hid. He hid. We didn't end up getting our money, but that this is what pisses me off when they agree. Well, this guy didn't agree to it, I guess, but this guy that I'm talking about, he agreed to pay that full price, and then he just fucked off. So fucking choosing beggars, man. Like, pay people for their work. For fuck's sakes. Let's get into the next story. This one is called, "If you don't take me to work, I'll just call out and I'll get fired because of you." Posted by user I'm a bitch, not a thought. I know these text posts aren't as interesting as images. Fuck yes, they are. But unfortunately, I had to deal with the choosing beggar. In this case, my brother, in person. Please let me know if this doesn't belong here. At one point early last year, I was in between jobs and tight on money. My younger brother lives with our Nana and doesn't drive or have a car. He offered to pay me to take him to work since our Nana was out of state and couldn't take him. He was going to give me $200 to take him to and from work each day for 3 weeks. I was very grateful and happy to help him out because he's family. $200 for 3 weeks of driving felt very generous because my car has good city mileage and I would probably only need to get gas twice in those 3 weeks. It is about a 40-minute drive to get to his house from where I live and 20 minutes to drive from his house to his work. I did my best to keep my schedule aligned with his work schedule and schedule job interviews during times when he was working. I never saw a dime of payment from him. He felt justified in not paying me because I told him that I couldn't drive him to his boyfriend's house on his day off. I had a job interview. I wouldn't care about the money so much if at that time I wasn't in a bad place financially. I went from feeling extremely grateful to feeling completely used. I never pressured him about payment and only found out he had no intention of paying me because he'd complained to our sister about not driving him to his boyfriend's place. In the end, I decided, okay, whatever, I'm never driving him again. Recently, I've started driving my mom to work because her car is in need of serious repairs. My brother found out and asked me if I could take him to work again as well because our Nana is once again going out of state and he won't have a way to get to work. I refused and he flipped out. He said it would be my fault that he would be fired because I don't want to help him, but I'll help our mom. It wasn't fair that I wouldn't help all of the family. He argued that I still drive to that side of town to pick up our older brother to hang out, so it's no big deal. He then decided that he was just going to go on some kind of fake medical leave, which he has pulled before at his work. Either that, or he will just call out for 2 weeks straight. We haven't really talked much since the first driving agreement. He never talked to me after the 3 weeks were up. Now he is mad at me again, and we aren't talking. Again. I'm sure I will hear from him again the next time he wants something. Family or not, I don't think you get to decide whether or not to pay someone. He will have a hell of a time pulling that with Uber, and I'm sure he'll love spending $300 a week, too. Edit. TLDR. Okay, I'm not gonna read that. We already read the story. So, yeah. Fuck. What is with these family members? These are the worst ones when they're in your family and you just can't get rid of them. Oh, no. Sorry, but your choosing beggar bro there needs to get himself like a fucking job, dude. Oh, dudes, how was your day? What are you guys up to? Leave a comment below. Let me know what's going on. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for future videos just like this one. All right, let's get into the next story. That being said, I gotta do my thing. Farmer attempts to swindle teenager and grain mill. Posted by user TJL-21. Kinda long story. TLDR at the bottom. Alright, I'll start with the obligatory backstory. This took place about a year ago at a feed mill I used to work at. I was a sophomore who had somehow landed a job there thanks to a relative working in the company. It was harvest and farmers were hauling in their grain, essentially just corn, to sell. Now is where I come in. I'm what is known as a scale master, as my coworkers call me. Essentially, the process works like this. Farmer, usually in a semi, pulls onto the scale and I weigh his truck and trailer. Next, I use a special probe arm with a vacuum attached to it in order to take a sample of his corn. In the lab, I then test this corn for several factors, like bugs, mold, and most importantly, moisture. For the non-farming folk, when you haul in corn, you want it to have the least moisture possible. If it is below 16%, then you get paid more for it as we don't have to dry it. If it's above 16.1%, you get paid significantly less. This is because we have to dry it ourselves, which costs time and money, to ensure our entire bins of feed and corn aren't destroyed by mold. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I can get into the actual story. So, this was a day like any other. I had clocked in after a long day of school and sat in my little office chair waiting for a farmer. About 2 hours into my shift, a farmer, who I'll call Choosing Beggar, pulls onto the scale. Me. Hello, sir. How can I help you today? Choosing Beggar. Just hurry and weigh me, kid. Farmers tend to be in a rush around dusk before dew sets in, so I'm used to the impatient attitude. Me. All right, sir, just hold tight. I'll be done in a jiff. I say, trying to keep a happy tone. Choosing Beggar. Whatever, kid. He takes out his phone and starts scrolling through something or other. I take his weight down in the spreadsheet and get ready to use the probe. I always like the probe. It had joysticks and a CCTV camera above the scales, so it was like playing a video game. I begin taking samples from his trailer when I notice something is off. The cover on his trailer isn't entirely rolled off, and the rear of the trailer looks to be divided into separate sections altogether. Me. Sir, can you please roll the rest of your tarp back? I can't reach the grain. Choosing Beggar. No, kid, I can't. Just hurry up. Me. I can't let you go until I get a general sample from all around the trailer. Please roll the tarp back. Choosing Beggar. Just take the sample. Choosing Beggar then presses a button somewhere in his cab and the tarp rolls back. I maneuver the probe over and take a sample. Wouldn't you know, the computer screen flashes to life with red text saying his average moisture level went from 15.4% to 24.6%. This corn he had stashed in the back had enough moisture to destroy an entire bin of corn, which at this plant are the size of about 12-story buildings. Me. All right, sir, I have everything I need. Please head to bin number 2. Bin number 2 is our heavy drying bin and means he'll be paid quite a lot less. Choosing Beggar. No, I need to go to bin number 1. I dried this corn at home. Bin number 1 is our no drying bin, and there was no way he was going in there. Me. I'm sorry, sir, but I can't send you there. Your average moisture was 24.6%. Choosing Beggar. No! He says more frustrated. My moisture was at most 15%. I ran it through my own dryer. Hurry up and open the damn door. The door being the semi-truck-sized door to the dumping pad inside the bin. Me. Sir, your moisture levels pose a significant threat of molding an entire bin. Please, follow the road to bin number 2. At this point, my boss comes over from his office after my coworker overheard the situation and flagged him down. Now, I loved my boss. He was a no-bullshit type of guy who got things done. He walked over to the radio and took the mic from me. Boss. Hello, sir. What seems to be the problem? Choosing Beggar. Your scale worker here won't send me to bin number 1. He says my moisture is way above what I know it is. Boss. I'm sorry, sir, but that moisture level looks accurate to his sample. We've already offered you as much per bushel for moist corn as our competitor is offering per bushel for dry corn. I even remember signing off on your contract to make sure you got those prices. Choosing Beggar. It doesn't matter. My family has been customers here for years now, and I demand to be sent to the correct bin. Boss. You are being sent to the correct bin. Please do not harass my employees for a mistake you made in drying your corn. If you like, I can send you to bin number 4, a low drying bin, for the front of your trailer, and you can either dump the rear at bin number 2 today or dry it at home and bring it back later. Choosing beggar. No, I know what I came with, and I will not dump for less than what it's worth. I will be telling my father about this, and we will not be renewing our contract. Choosing beggar then disconnects from the radio before my boss can respond and pulls off the scale and exits the mill. I ask my boss if I had done anything wrong, and he tells me not to worry and that I did the right thing. My boss then pulls out his cell phone and calls the farmer's dad. I'll call him Beggar's dad. I decided to listen in, even if I shouldn't have. I couldn't hear it very well, but I'll recreate the conversation best I can. Boss. Hello, Beggar's dad. Your son just came through our scale and told us you will not be renewing your contract with us. Beggar's dad. What? Why? Boss. My scale master tested his corn at 24.6% moisture. Your son claims it had been dried and then told us your family would not be renewing their contract as a result of not being sold for dry price. Beggar's dad, after a very audible sigh. No, we will be renewing our contract. I'll send him back tomorrow. This time I'll make sure it has been dried. My boss then returns to his office, and I hear him talking with Beggar's dad for a little while longer, but wasn't able to make out what was said. The next day, I was not scheduled to work, so I didn't know what became of Choosing Beggar that day. However, what I learned the following Saturday when I returned was shocking, yet hilarious. According to my boss, I was not to weigh him ever again unless he came through with a totally open-topped vehicle. Apparently, Choosing Beggar had not only tried to conceal his very wet corn in the far rear, but also confessed to his very angry father that the corn had also been layered. Corn layering is where a farmer will layer their dry corn atop their moist corn to hope that the probe will only catch the dry corn. This way, they can get away with drying less corn, or barely any at all. I hadn't noticed this, and if I hadn't seen the tarp at the rear for some reason, it could have spelled disaster for our bins. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars lost. Not only our own, but other hard-working farmers as well, as we wouldn't be able to pay them. After that year, I didn't return to working for them as I found a better part-time job with less scandalous customers. Still, that Choosing Beggar, however, who had already been offered so much for what he clearly didn't deserve, is one of my favorite memories of that place. What the fuck? What is wrong with people? Like, why do people gotta be scammers like this? And like, the fact that you're trying to drag your own father's name through the mud afterwards just to cover up your greediness is fucked. Man, if I was that guy's father, I'd be like, I'm cutting you out of this business entirely. You need to go back to school, find another job, find another field, because you're not touching this. You're smearing my name, so fuck off. I mean, am I right? Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think? Let's get into the next story, my dudes, and this one is called Overheard a Choosing Beggar at My Local Flea Market. Posted by user Original Drawlings. I was browsing a booth that had all this cool vintage Hollywood memorabilia. These two older guys were browsing next to me. One of them picked up this vintage poster for some old movie with a star who wasn't Steve McQueen, but someone similar. I didn't get a good look. He gushes over it. He's like, "Oh man, look at this. Remember this movie? I remember seeing this with my dad. It was our favorite. This looks like an original." The seller confirms that it was an original poster from 1960-something that was only given to theaters, and as far as he knows, there aren't any reprints that are widely available. The seller has many other posters for movies from the era, all unique. The interested guy keeps gushing and says stuff like, "Movie posters just don't look this cool anymore. Blah, blah, blah. It's perfect. I've got to have it. How much is it?" $300. The guy goes, "Literally? For this? It's a poster." The seller lets out one of those surprised laughs like he couldn't believe the complete 180 the guy just made. Then he goes, "You're right. After the conversation we just had, I reckon it ought to be worth more than $300. According to you, $300 is a hell of a deal." Another person who was browsing says, "For real?" The guy got so mad and embarrassed and made a bunch of remarks about how it's just a poster. I could probably print my own at FedEx for $10, blah, blah, blah. At this point, the guy's friend has ducked away, probably embarrassed. The seller goes, "That's not what you just said, sir. A minute ago, you told me how special it was, but now it's only worth $10? The guy left saying, "See, you lost a customer with that attitude." Some other people who were browsing made remarks about what a dumbass that guy was, and the seller had a good laugh. Good for the seller for calling him on it. That's great. I wish I could have witnessed something like that. Because, I always go to there's like flea markets and stuff, and like these art shows where local artists and crafters bring what they make, and, you can buy it. But I've noticed when I started crafting, you name your price. You do. You name your price. If somebody doesn't want to pay that, then it's up to you if you want to lower it, is what I'm saying. But then again, then you see like some things that are ridiculously overpriced. And you can only really know this if you actually do that craft as well. Like, for example, I crochet, I knit, I can, I make tons of things, but a crochet dishcloth with a very, very basic stitch, I ain't paying $20 for that. You're fucking crazy. I see somebody charging $20 for one dishcloth, and I'm like, it was cotton, which is a plus. At least they did that right. But like, no, the most simplest of stitches. The most simplest of stitches is called a single crochet stitch. Okay, this thing, that's all it was. I'm sorry, but like literally a beginner could do it. No, not $20. That's fucked. You could make. Okay, listen, let me put this into perspective. You guys are probably like, just shut up, Lauren, and get into the stories. But I need to put this into perspective or my brain's gonna short out. So, $20 for one dishcloth, okay? A roll of yarn to make that dishcloth, at most, depending on the size you bought, maybe 10 bucks, maybe 15, okay? If you're buying the $15 ones, you're gonna have enough yarn left over to probably make, I want to say 6 to 10, depending on how big you make them. Okay? That just goes to show how disgustingly overpriced that is. Okay? So this woman was literally making like, I don't even know, like a 400% markup or something. It was insane. I get it. They last a long time. That's why I make them for myself. They are awesome. But I ain't paying $20 for one, and I'll make somebody one for like less than $5. Like, you know what I mean? If I already have the yarn, I'll probably just make it for them for free. If they're my friend, that is. I ain't doing it for a complete stranger. Fuck off. Alright, my dudes, and the next story is called, "With all due respect, been running after your company to rent the unit, therefore should be getting a discount in fees. Only fair. Smiley face." Posted by user Darla's MIRS. Just a little background. I work as a rental administrator for a small company. We have given a tenant notice to move out of the unit they are renting as the lease is coming to an end and they owe us money. This tenant has ignored us all month and is denying us access to show the unit. The agents are advertising the property as per the owner's request, and we have a lady interested in viewing the property. For the sake of this story, she will be referred to as Karen. On Friday morning, I get an email from my agents asking me to send Karen an application form to rent the unit. I send her the forms and a list of all the documents needed for us to do a credit check on her. We need 3 months bank statements, 3 months pay slips, and an ID copy. We also charge a small fee to do the check, which later gets deducted from the lease admin fee. On Friday afternoon, I get an email back from Karen asking if I had received her application yet and to send her pictures. I reply back that I had got nothing from her and asked what pictures she wanted. She sends me back an incomplete application form without answering my question. Trying to be helpful, I reply back and ask for her phone number. I call her to ask what picture she wanted. She asked for photos of the unit, and I offered to send her the link to the listing. She asked if we had anything more recent, and I explained we are having issues with the current tenant not being cooperative. I warned her that we could end up in a situation where this tenant doesn't move out at the end of the month, but we did have an alternative apartment in the area that we could offer her instead. She said it was fine and she wanted to proceed with the application in any case. While I had her on the phone, I reminded her of what she needed to send through so we could complete the check. Karen said she did not have everything right now, but would send it to me over the weekend. Monday comes and she hasn't sent me anything. Today, she emails me the incomplete form again, and I reply with a thank you and a reminder for her to send me all the documents I need to complete the check. I also remind her we are having issues with the current tenant. She sends me the following: 3 months payslips, 2 months bank statements, November 2019 and January 2020, incomplete application form, a screenshot of her credit score on a site that we don't recognize as a valid source, some other irrelevant documents. Also note, these are being sent as separate emails and not a consolidated application. Once again, I thank her for the application, but she needs to send me her December 2019 statement and an ID copy. Karen sends me back the following email. Hi, with all due respect, been running after your company to rent a unit, therefore should be getting a discount in fees. Only fair, smiley face. Starting to get annoyed, I responded with a reminder that I had called her on Friday to explain all the documents we needed and that she hadn't sent them when she promised she would. I once again asked for the missing bank statement and ID copy. She emails me that she has sent them already and then resends me the incomplete form again. Just in case I had missed it, I rechecked my emails and junk mail, but she had not sent me what was needed. I inform her of such, and she sends me a copy of her ID. I inform her that I still don't have the missing bank statement. She resends me her November 2019 and January 2020 statements. I forward these back to her and remind her that I need December's statement. She insists that December is part of it, which it isn't. Then she resends me the January bank statement. I've asked her agents to call her because if I phone her, I might just lose my mind. Why are you entertaining her this long? Seriously. She clearly doesn't have her shit together. Do you really want to fucking rent to someone like that? Think about it. Just pass. Pass on to somebody else who needs it. This woman sucks. Woman damages school minibus, demands free parking, loses job. Posted by user Starbug360. Not 100% sure this belongs here, but it seems to be the best fit. And so another story from my days doing voluntary work. It was a nice afternoon, and the team was doing various tasks around the building when we heard the most god-awful crash. We all ran outside, thinking that some scaffolding being put out on a nearby building had fallen over and we might need to dial 999, emergency service number here in the UK. But everything seemed fine. Scaffolding still in place, nobody screaming or anything. We all look at each other with what the fuck looks on our faces, when someone, I forget who, noticed a large blue minibus down the far end of the car park. We look at it, then the big yellow bar across the entrance. Doing the mental arithmetic, the bus was a few crucial inches higher than the bar, which had been clear marked with a sign stating the maximum clearance. Only the sign had been bent flat against the underside of the bar. The minibus made several attempts to park at the other end, but eventually the driver gave up and came rolling up next to our building, parking across 2 of our dedicated disabled parking bays. No big surprises. We often had groups make use of the charity and its services for a day out by the sea, but they usually phone in advance. And, if they do, we make sure that one of us is down at the entrance with our copy of the key needed to open the gate to allow the taller vehicles in. Driver gets out of the van and the following conversation follows, to the best of my recollection. Here's the cast. Team leader, volunteer 1, entitled driver, and me, team leader. Can I help you? Entitled driver. Just gonna park here so I could do some before I have to pick some people up. Volunteer and I are looking at the bus, noting the name of a local school for children with severe learning and developmental problems, and the massive dent and scratches visible on the roof. Team leader. Well, I'm afraid you can't park here unless you're using the scheme. Entitled driver. Oh, I got a blue badge. Those of you who've seen my previous post over an r/I don't work here lady will have an idea of where this is going. Team leader. Doesn't matter. Unless you're dropping off or picking the badge holder up, you can't use it. This is 100% true, but often ignored by entitled arseholes. Well, they go back and forth for a bit. Volunteer and I are just enjoying the show, and eventually, entitled driver gives up and drives out of the car park, hitting the bright yellow metal bar over the exit, damaging the sign on that, and denting the bus even more. Volunteer: we could have told her we had a key. Me, shrugging: there's no helping some people. Volunteer: and others you don't want to? Me: yup. Yeah, we can both be arseholes like that. Well, the story doesn't end there. Remember that I said the minibus belonged to a local school? Well, team leader's then fiance, now husband, happens to work for that school. So she calls him up and tells him exactly what happened, and he passes this information on to the woman in charge of the school vehicles. She waits for entitled driver to come back and asks if there were any issues. Entitled driver says no, everything was fine. So the manager had the caretaker get a stepladder out and inspect the top of the minibus, where he saw a number of massive dents and scratches that most definitely hadn't been there before. Entitled driver claims ignorance. Entitled driver is then told, without being given the exact details, that there had been a report of the bus being driven into the car park, hitting both of the bars. Entitled driver tries to make excuses, but apparently she was already on her last warning and was fired by the principal when he saw the extent of the damages that he'd now have to find the money to repair. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person. Fuck. Dude, I'm sorry, but she deserved that. This could also be like a pro-revenge, an asshole tax, I don't know. Like, don't park in handicap parking unless you need to. Fuck you, Karen, you bitch. Like, I don't understand people like this. They're like, well, I'm just gonna be in the store for 2 seconds. I don't give a fuck. You're inconveniencing somebody. You could be. You never know. What if somebody comes in that moment that you decide to get out of your car and needs to park there and you just took up the spot, Karen? You know, come on, don't do this. Be better. Be better than this. Well, what am I saying? We're talking about Karens here. I don't think they have the mental capability. All right, my dudes, I'm going to get into the last story of the day. I know it's very sad, but let's get it. He tried convincing me that my car wasn't worth what I asked for. Posted by user KarisXL. Okay, so this happened somewhere around the beginning of 2019, so I can't quite remember too much of what was said, but I do remember the important parts, so here we go. Here's the cast. Me, choosing beggar, man who wants to buy my car. I was in desperate need for some cash and decided to sell my car, a 1997 silver Lincoln Town Car. I did think long and hard because, well, it's a discontinued car and I love it. But as I said, I was desperate for some money, at the time at least. So I put it out there and this man, choosing beggar, comes up to my house and asks me the price. I tell him $1,500 since it has a few issues, but it still runs great. He tells me he'll think about it since he was in a rush, but I gave him my number in case and he leaves. A few days go by and I get a phone call from choosing beggar. Me. Hello? Choosing beggar. Hey, it's choosing beggar. I went by your house on this day to ask for the car you got on sale. Me. Oh, yeah, hi. Were you thinking of buying the car after all? Choosing beggar. Well, actually, your price is too high. Me. I'm sorry. My price is firm. Choosing beggar. Well, it's too high, so... Me. Not knowing what to say at this point. Okay, sorry about that. Choosing beggar. Yeah, best I can offer you is $200. Me. Huh? Choosing beggar. 200 is as high as I'll go. Me. It's okay, I'll pass. Choosing beggar. Honey, no one else will buy it from you. Me. Excuse me? Choosing beggar. I work as a mechanic and I know more about cars than you do, so... Me. Yeah, okay, you can buy someone else's car for $200 then. Choosing beggar. Sweetie, I'm telling you, no one else is gonna buy your car. Might as well give it to me for $200. Me. No, sorry. Choosing beggar. That's as high as I'll go, darling. Me. I can find someone else who is willing to pay the price I asked for. No worries. Choosing beggar. No, you need to sell it to me for $200. Me. I need? Choosing beggar. Yes, you need to sell it to me for $200. No one else will buy it. Me. Extremely annoyed and in shock at how he had no shame to say that. I don't need anything. You don't have to be the next owner of this car. I can sell it to whoever I want. It doesn't have to be you. So don't tell me what I need to do. Choosing beggar. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. $200 is as high as I can go. Me. I've had enough of this. Bye. And I blocked his number. Now, I'm no expert with cars, and maybe he did know better about cars than I did/do, considering what he claimed to do for a living. But I do know that if someone is selling something, you can't act like you're the only person in the world and offer such a bad price, expecting the seller to be like, "Aw, dang it, you win, I lose." No, never. Fuck, good for you, that's fucked. Like, I had somebody try to talk me down to $125 for my truck, and I'm like, dude, you know, it's a rusted piece of shit, but I know I can get more than that for it. Get the fuck out of here. But yeah, like, this guy, I honestly probably would have wanted to track him down after this if he tried to, you know, mansplain shit to me like this. I'm sorry, I probably know more than you about cars, motherfucker. And you know what? I used to be a service advisor for a garage, and I would get people like this all the time who did not want to take a quote or an estimate from me because for the simple fact that I was a woman. And obviously women don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to cars, right? Jesus Christ. That's how I started smoking, by the way. That job. Because of people like that. That's how I started smoking. Fun fact, I'm trying to quit. Working on it. But yeah, my dad, my stepdad, both car guys. My stepdad has 7 brothers. They're all into cars. Their dad is into cars. So let me tell you that I know a lot. All right, my dudes, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for future videos just like this one. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of February. We're getting super close, my dude, so sharing is caring, and I see you guys doing it. I appreciate it. You guys rock. And as always, the links to these stories will be in the description, so head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it. And don't forget to submit your stories, my dudes. I'm getting a nice little collection of subscriber-submitted stories, so that's gonna come in not sure yet. A couple weeks or so, but stay tuned for that. And I hope you guys have a fan-fucking-tabulous day, my dudes. I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Peace out!